Greetings, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my collaborative review of the 2009 Star Trek movie with our very special guest, Decadent7.
Hello.
And that's what we'll be doing today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, so last time we went over our feelings, our thoughts on the cast, and how we thought they did a fantastic job with the cast and really had no problems there. How about just the movie itself? Visually, let's talk about visually. Was there anything in particular that stood out that you liked or didn't like about it?
Visually, the movie was just pleasing. It was really, really nice to watch. The only gripe that I have, and it's not even really that big of an issue, is they go a little Enterprise happy, and that's basically it.
But is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, it's such an iconic design, an iconic image.
Well, that's why I say it's not even that big of an issue. But
Hmm.
it's just it's very epic every time you see the Enterprise. It's like it's friggin' epic. Like,
Well, it is. It's the Enterprise.
I understand this. I recognize how awesome the Enterprise is. It's just what time was taken out of showing like these awesome shots of the Enterprise could have been put into character development or something. It's not even that it needed more character
Character
development.
development. What is this character development of which you speak? You just no. No, you don't minimize the shots of the Enterprise for something so unnecessary as character development.
You make a good point, sir.
But no, seriously, I do. I got to admit, I'm a bit of a whore for beauty shots of the Enterprise. A lot of people complained, like for example, about the original Star Trek motion picture, how they just spend so long flying around the Enterprise. Scotty's showing the Kirk around the Enterprise in the shuttle in space dock there, and I loved it. I just eat up that scene every time I see it because I mean I love the old model work and stuff. And at the time, the only thing anybody had seen of the Enterprise was the old 60s series, which already, less than 10 years later, the special effects were looking pretty dated. So I like beauty shots of the Enterprise.
I also like them. I'm just saying that it may have been overused just a tad because I was still impressed every time I saw the Enterprise. It was just as impressive as the first time.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
still, it could have that
Awesome
time
ship.
could have been used to do something else story-wise. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. Actually, one kind of minor quibble I did have with it visually was, did you notice whenever they were on the bridge, things were really shiny and sparkly and lens flary?
I did, but I think
Like,
they were trying to make it look futuristic and high tech, and it just
yeah.
kind of made it look like Twilight-ish.
When we were in the sun on the bridge of the Enterprise, we sparkle. Yeah.
Exactly.
It has the skin of a killer.
But yeah, I saw that too, and it didn't bother me too much. But it just seems like you can portray futuristic technology without making everything sparkly. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it wasn't so much that everything was sparkly as much as it seemed to be like interfering with just a normal view of things on the bridge. Like there was all this lens flare and stuff that just seemed really kind of excessive and unnecessary. I don't really understand why they made it look like that.
Well, see, I think it applies to the same thing as the constant shots of the Enterprise. Like, as epic as it is on the outside, I think he was trying to portray how awesome it is on the inside, too. So it's like, not only do the outside shots have to be awesome, but the inside shots also have to be just as
It
awesome.
was like
So it was lens flares as a direct result of just sheer awesome.
I think that's what those were from. Just awesomeness.
Yeah, he was like, the old Enterprise you thought was cool, but look at mine, it's better.
When we filmed this bridge, there is just so much awesome within the frame that the camera strains to pick it all up and deal with it, that it just has to, blow out portions of the image with lens flare.
Exactly.
Oh boy, I have one big gripe.
Okay.
It's a big one.
It's a big one?
You ready for this?
Okay.
Oh, God.
One of the things that I always loved about the original movies, the original crew movies in particular, was they had some of the most epic, get your adrenaline pumping, tug at the heartstrings in all the right places, and just like take you on the ride and adventure of a lifetime music scores.
Okay.
So why is the score in this one so god-awfully unimaginative, uninspired, repetitive, and quite frankly, dull as hell?
I think perhaps that's a product of too much focus on the hype around the characters, around the new casting. They may have focused too much on the filming instead of the music, because the music is always a huge part of any film, right? It like adds atmosphere to what you're viewing.
Well, a Star Trek film especially, because it has just so many identifiable themes from over the years,
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry has a gripe about casting.
Yeah, I should have mentioned it before, but
What is it?
Winona Ryder is Spock's mom.
Ah.
That was a little strange.
I didn't like it. I don't mind her as an actress, don't get me wrong, but that was odd.
That was a little strange.
I did think, I thought that was kind of an odd choice as well, considering I don't think she's that much older than Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto didn't get his first big break until he was around the age of 30.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure that they're around the same age, and it's easily you notice that.
Which struck me as very odd.
Yeah.
That was
There was some but okay. So Winona Ryder, odd choice. I also love Winona Ryder, and I have no problem with her as an actress,
No, I
but
don't either.
I did think she was an odd choice for Spock's mom. But that's okay, because she gets killed anyway, so we'll never have to see her again.
Oh well.
So, getting back to the score for a minute, the thing that bugged me about it was if you go back and listen to the old scores, like in particular the first 6 movies, all of them have just spectacular scores that conjure up so many images of basically journeying through space on an epic adventure of awesomeness. And, there's a lot of identifiable themes and such in there. It seemed like the score for this one just kind of had like one riff, which was something of a half-assed homage to the scores of old. But all it does is repeat that same fricking riff over and over and over and over, and that's it. It's like it plays it a little bit bigger, plays it a little bit smaller, plays it kind of just normal, and then plays it bigger again. But it's still the same fucking riff over and over again. It's like, are you not capable of composing more than 3 notes?
And they forgot the most known score of all is when Spock and Kirk fight in that one episode. Why didn't they have that at least when they were arguing? That would have been awesome. Just out of nowhere when they're arguing, just that.
The other thing I thought with regards to audio choice was there's that great scene where at the beginning we've all seen in the trailer, and it's even like longer and cooler in the movie, where Kirk steals his dad's like antique car and goes for a joyride and sends it over the cliff.
And they picked the worst possible song to play. I'm sorry, but
here's this is kind of related. The song, okay, so they're playing this like rippin' rock song, right?
Beastie Boys.
He turns on the radio and the song comes on, okay? And da-da-da-da-da, driving along, getting chased by the police, blah, 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 blah. Car goes flying over the cliff. The song is still going and just thundering through the soundtrack. Why didn't they have it where the song slowly fades away as the car goes down the cliff?
Yeah.
that would have made so much more sense, and I think been way more effective, because then this fucking song just keeps going through like the good part of the scene, where it's like, "My name's James Tiberius Kirk," and it just keeps going and going. It's like, God damn it, the car is destroyed. The song should be over.
And also, too, the product shot in that scene. Like, did Star Trek really need a product shot? Like Nokia? Seriously?
I don't recall a lot of product placement in Star Trek.
No.
Maybe in Star Trek 4 because they were in the present.
Yeah,
but
like,
but
the
that's
little
it.
radio was Nokia.
Yeah,
like
but
the phone.
everything has product placement.
I understand that, but you know what I mean?
You know what? My issue was the choice of song on the radio.
Yeah, that was
And
bad.
of all of the awesome rock music that you could have picked to have come on the radio, they pick fucking Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for me. I was like, and plus that's one of the Beastie Boys songs that I fucking hate.
And plus, too, what year
How
is that?
about Panama? Why didn't they get Panama in there? I know they used Panama for everything, but it would have been great.
Van Halen or something, like anything but Beastie Boys. It just didn't work for me.
Well, Beastie Boys pretty much personifies our century.
Okay.
3 white guys with mediocre talent to rap. Yeah.
They're hardcore. Hardcore.
Because nothing says, the 20th/21st century like white guys rapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so so basically, other than the music issues, I didn't really have any major problems with it. Any other gripes that you guys had with it?
It wasn't a gripe, but it was funny. When Spock lands on Vulcan, when he's doing the transport thing, and his pose, that was funny.
His pose?
Yeah.
Where he was sort of crouching?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
I just
thought he
so
looked
funny.
badass in that shot.
did.
I was
I
like,
thought it was
yeah, Spock, on the case.
I know. I started laughing when I seen that.
But for the few things that we can gripe about, it all in all was like really well done. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in the entire film is when Spock is standing before the council and they say that you got into this prestigious thing, and Spock
With your
turns
handicap.
turns it down because if you say anything about his mom, he goes fucking ape shit. And I love that. And then he just does, like, normally when you hear live long and prosper, it's meant peaceful. Like, it's meant as a goodwill gesture. And he just, he says it to them and it just seems like, he's like, it's a big fuck you. And I just thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That was a great moment. And it's good. I loved actually a lot of the scenes of Spock on Vulcan and just sort of how we got little glimpses of what it was like for him to grow up as a half-breed, essentially, and how his people saw that. Like, even when he's a little kid and the bullies come along, he's like, I assume you have a new collection of insults for me today?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, we do. It's like, very well.
Yeah.
That was great. And then he just proceeds to beat the tar out of them, which was also awesome. But, it really showed aspects of Spock's character that we always kind of knew were there, but it was nice to actually see firsthand what he went through, just even growing up.
Yeah.
Well, because normally when you think of Spock in the old series, you normally think of someone who's quite well-rounded and logical. Mm-hmm. And then you get to see Spock's conflict when he was growing up, dealing with the human side of his life, like emotions and whatnot, and just seeing, before he got to that point where he could, pick logic over emotion.
Yeah.
Instead of, back then.
Yeah, because before you saw his Vulcan side, no matter what, at least you got to see his human side.
Well, even actually, in the when you guys pick up the Blu-ray of the original series and actually start watching the original episodes, they do go into that from time to time in the show as well. I mean, that was always a part of sort of Spock's ongoing arc, was his conflict between his human side and his Vulcan side, and there's some episodes that deal with duality and such.
Yeah, but it seemed like his human side was.
Sorry.
It seemed like his human side was more in the movie like now than it was for the series.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because
he
at
didn't
this
have
point
control.
he's so much younger.
Yeah.
And he hasn't learned that control yet. He's still dealing with it
Yeah.
and learning how to work it out. So by the time we see old, grown up Spock in the original TV series, it's he's more or less got it under control, but he still has moments where it slips.
Um,
I got another thing too after you.
One thing we didn't really discuss is Eric Bana playing Nero.
Eric Bana playing Nero. I've never had a big problem with Eric Bana. I think he's a fine actor. I actually liked him in the Hulk movie
Oh
a
my
few years
gosh.
ago.
God, I hated that so much.
I didn't like the Hulk movie, but I
No.
liked him in it.
I could
Like
not
I had no
stand him.
problem with him as Bruce Banner. But that's another story.
Yeah.
I once again, this is when my whole not entirely familiar with the original series handicap comes in, because I don't necessarily remember what the Romulans looked like, and I don't know.
I remember Next Gen Romulans, and
Is that what did they look like
Romulans-
that?
The Romulans essentially were an offshoot
Yeah,
of the
I know
Vulcans.
they looked like the Vulcans,
but their brow was more prominent.
Like they
I
were
thought.
I think they were both, if I remember correctly, they were both descended
Yeah, they're
from
cousins.
the same bloodline, and
Yeah.
one, the Vulcans went their way of peace and logic, and the Romulans went to a more militaristic
Yeah.
kind of lifestyle.
Is that what the
where they
Romulans
didn't
looked
bother
like,
to
though?
hide their emotions. They just focused more on
I thought their
war.
brow was more prominent though.
Well, it's not
like
just
with the
that.
eyebrows and.
Did they have the intricate tattoo work all over their faces
No.
and stuff?
No. No.
Yeah.
They basically... actually, one of the episodes we just watched recently was one called Balance of Terror, which is the first time the Romulans are introduced in the original series. And at the time, in the past, Earth had had a war with the Romulans. But neither side knew what the other looked like.
Yeah.
So Romulans didn't know what humans looked like. Humans didn't know what Romulans looked like. So they finally get a visual look at the captain of the bridge of this bird of prey that they're fighting in the episode. And they all look, and then they turn and look at Spock. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And Spock just kind of raises his eyebrow like, interesting. And then they realize that, they're not Vulcans. They're just descended from the same race, essentially.
I like the fact too about why they show Earth, how it's technologically advanced, but it's not too technologically advanced. Like there's still countrysides, and it's just not overpopulated kind of thing.
Yeah.
That just
But
nothing
that's
grows.
it was actually the war with the Romulans that brought that was one of the reasons the neutral zone was created. So it's
Yeah.
sort of this buffer zone between Romulan space and Earth space, where if you cross into the neutral zone, it's considered an act of war. So in the case of Nero in the movies or in the movie. Here's a problem that I've had with a lot of the Star Trek movies, and I think one of their sort of downfalls is the so-called snarling villain syndrome. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people razz the first movie, for example, for being too slow-paced and such. But the simple fact of the matter is, and I know this is a controversial view, but I stand by it, the simple fact of the matter is, the original movie is actually closer in philosophy and tone to what the series was about. Because the series was about exploring the unknown, going out there, finding out what's out there, exploring,
Say it,
learning
you wanna
about, and
say it.
confronting the unknown.
Say it, you want to say it, to boldly go.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
I knew you wanted to say it.
But that's it, exactly. I mean, right? That's the whole premise of the show, is to explore all these unknown things in the universe. And in that respect, the first one was the closest in tone to that. Whereas the second one, they had Khan, which was great. I mean, that's one snarling villain I don't mind, because it's Ricardo fucking Montalban, who was awesome. And he was right out of the series. So it was like just sort of a sequel to a series episode. But then it's like after that one did really well. So it seemed like almost every Star Trek movie after that had the obligatory snarling villain out to kill Kirk and destroy the Enterprise and blah, 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 blah. Same shit over and over and over again. And it's like, what happened to getting out there and exploring the unknown?
Yeah, I know. It's all about war now.
I don't mean to get all female on the audience, but the opening sequence to the movie where Kirk's father takes over the ship and ends up having to sacrifice himself while Kirk is being born. It breaks my heart every time, and I've cried all fucking 3 times that I've seen it. All 3 times, because it's so sad.
Yeah, I totally agree. I see a lot of people sort of razzing that part and saying, oh, it's so melodramatic and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm sorry. If you don't have tears in your eyes during the first 10 minutes of the new Star Trek movie, you have no heart.
Exactly.
I mean, that is the most heartbreakingly tragic moment. And it's before they even have the opening title, You're, like, when we saw it, we couldn't believe it. We were just like turned to each other. It's like, that's so sad. And it's like we're blubbering messes before the opening title even comes on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a great scene. Great scene.
It pulls you in, though, that's for sure. Because you're like, that never happened before.
No. Well, and the hardcore longtime fans are like, that never happened.
Exactly.
Okay, so any last thoughts on things we did or didn't like about it before we conclude this part of the Star Trek 2009 discussion?
Nope, that's all I really have to say about it.
Pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me too. Alrighty, well that concludes part 2, folks. So we'll see you guys in part 3, in which we're going to address some of the comments that have been made over the past couple months
Nerd rage.
by the fans of the old show. Good and bad, crazy and not so crazy. Which are you? We'll find out next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.
I don't mean to go all female on you guys, but the first like the opening sequence of the film when Picard, I'm totally in a different mindset now.
Do we want to start that again?
Yeah, please.
Take 3. Hang on one second here.